Hello students, Jinali Shah welcomes you all on behalf of Saraswat International Academy. Today we will begin with the next part of the chapter Chemical Coordination and Integration. Students, in the previous video we have studied regarding the definition of hormones. We have studied that the hormones are the secretion of the ductilized gland of our body called as endocrine glands, the location of the endocrine glands, and we have studied two important endocrine glands. One is pituitary and another one is the pineal gland with their hormones and their functions. Today we will study few more endocrine glands of our body. So let us begin first of all regarding the thyroid gland. So thyroid gland is composed of two lobes which are located on either side of trachea. So there are two lobes of the thyroid glands and they are located on the either side of the trachea. This is trachea. So one lobe is located on its left side and one lobe is located on its right side. And it is the largest endocrine gland in the body. So which is the largest endocrine gland of our body? Thyroid gland. This is the ventral view of thyroid gland and this is the dorsal view. And on dorsal side there are four another tiny glands located on the thyroid gland, and these glands which are found on the thyroid gland are called as parathyroid gland, which we will study later on. Now the structure of thyroid gland. Both the lobes are connected with a thin flap of connective tissue called isthmus. So there are how many lobes of thyroid gland? Two lobes. Both these lobes are connected with each other by a flap of connective tissue and that is called as isthmus. Now the thyroid gland is composed of follicles. So what is thyroid gland composed of? They are composed of the structure called follicles, and these follicles they are held together by a loose connective tissue called stroma. So stroma is a connective tissue which holds the follicular cells of the thyroid gland. So it is composed of follicles and stromal tissue. Each thyroid follicle is composed of follicular cells which encloses a cavity. The stroma contains blood capillaries and a small group of parafollicular or C cells. So this stromal tissue is made up of, or it also contains the blood capillaries along with a small group of parafollicular or also called as the C cells. The follicular cells of thyroid gland secretes two hormones, namely TRI-IODOTHYRONINE, that is T3, and thyroxine, or also called as TETRA-IODOTHYRONINE, which is T4. So the follicular cells are secreting two important hormones, T3 that is TRI-IODOTHYRONINE and T4 that is TETRA-IODOTHYRONINE, also called as the thyroxine hormone. Whereas the parafollicular or C cells of the thyroid gland secrete a hormone called thyrocalcitonin. So the parafollicular or C cells of the thyroid gland secrete a hormone called thyrocalcitonin. The iodine is essential for the normal rate of hormone synthesis in thyroid. जो भी thyroid hormones का secretion होता है, basically their secretion requires the iodine. So iodine is very much essential for the secretion of the thyroid hormones. Now some of the disorders related to the thyroid gland. Deficiency of iodine in our diets result in hypothyroidism and enlargement of thyroid gland, commonly called goiter. So if there is deficiency of iodine in diet, so iodine की deficiency है तो of course thyroid hormone का secretion proper नहीं होगा. So उसकी वजह से क्या होगा? Hypothyroidism. Hypo is less and thyroidism is secretion of thyroid hormones. So there will be the deficiency in the thyroid hormone secretion. Apart from that, this iodine deficiency also causes the enlargement of the thyroid gland, and this disease is commonly called as goiter. The hypothyroidism during the pregnancy causes the defective development and maturation of growing baby, leading to the stunted growth, that is cretinism, mental retardation, low intelligence quotient, abnormal skin, deaf mutism, etc. So if in the pregnant lady there is hypothyroidism, that is अगर pregnant lady में thyroid hormone का secretion less amount में होगा, then it will affect the growth and development of the baby. So basically there won't be the proper development as well as maturation in the growing body, जिसकी वजह से बेबी स्टंटेड ग्रोथ होगा. सो जैसे ग्रोथ हार्मोन की डेफिशिएंसी से ग्रोथ स्टंटेड होता था, इसको बोलते थे ड्वार्फिज्म. whereas the deficiency of the thyroid hormone in pregnant lady cause the stunted growth in the baby, and that is called as cretinism. What is it called as? It is called as the cretinism. Apart from that, the mental retardation will be there, the intelligent quotient will be less, the skin will be abnormal, and deaf mutism, that is deafness as well as mutism, that is the baby won't be able to speak. In adult woman, hypothyroidism may cause menstrual cycle to become irregular. Hypothyroidism in adult women may cause the irregular menstrual cycles. Due to cancer of thyroid gland or due to development of nodules of the thyroid glands, the rate of synthesis and secretion of thyroid hormone is increased to abnormal high levels, leading to a condition called hyperthyroidism, which adversely affects the body physiology. अगर थायराइड ग्लैंड का कैंसर है या थायराइड ग्लैंड्स में नोड्यूल्स का फॉर्मेशन होता है, then it leads to the over secretion of the thyroid hormone, and this over secretion, or you can say excessive secretion of the thyroid hormone, the condition is called as hyperthyroidism, and this hyperthyroidism affects the physiological activities of our body. Exophthalmic goiter is a form of hyperthyroidism characterized by enlargement of thyroid gland, protrusion of eyeballs, increased basal metabolic rate, weight loss, and also called Graves' disease. So hyperthyroidism का एक फॉर्म है जिसको बोलते हैं exophthalmic goiter, and this exophthalmic goiter is also called Graves' disease. ये डिजीज के सिम्टम्स क्या है? There will be enlargement of thyroid gland, there will be the protrusion of eyeballs, there will be the increased BMR, that is basal metabolic rate, there will be weight loss. So these are some of the symptoms of exophthalmic or Graves' disease, and exophthalmic goiter or Graves' disease, which is one form of the hyperthyroidism. Now let us study the functions of the thyroid hormones. ये पहले जो मेन पॉइंट्स है, these are all related to the thyroxine hormone and T3 hormone, that is these are the functions of the T3 and T4. Thyroid hormones play an important role in regulation of basal metabolic rate, that is BMR. So what is BMR? Number of calories required to keep your body functioning at rest. So basically what is BMR? When we are at rest, our body performs the various activities, right? So how much energy is required, the calories required by our body to keep functioning when it is at rest. Now see, basically BMR हम day to day life में कैसे use करते हैं? We say that our body weight should be according to our height. So ये जो calculations है, these are all nothing but the BMR. They also support the process of red blood formation. So erythropoiesis, the thyroid hormones play the important role in erythropoiesis. They control the metabolism of carbohydrate, proteins and fat. So अपनी बॉडी का ओवरऑल मेटाबॉलिज्म, जनरल मेटाबॉलिज्म कौन मेंटेन करता है? इट इज़ द थायराइड हार्मोन. कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स का, फैट्स का, प्रोटीन्स का जो मेटाबॉलिज्म है उसको मेंटेन थायराइड हार्मोन करते हैं. Maintenance of water and electrolyte balance is also influenced by thyroid hormone. So water and electrolyte balance, that is osmoregulation. So osmoregulation is also one of the important function carried out by thyroid hormones. So these 4 points, the first 4 points, maintenance of BMR, red blood cell formation, metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins and fat, and osmoregulation, these are all the functions of the T3 and T4. The last point, thyroid gland also secretes a protein hormone called thyrocalcitonin, which regulates the blood calcium level. So, thyroid gland का जो C cells है या parafollicular cells है, this C cells or parafollicular cells secretes the hormone called as thyrocalcitonin, and this thyrocalcitonin maintains the blood calcium level. Normally ये ब्लड कैल्शियम लेवल को डिक्रीज करता है, वेरेज जो पैराथायरॉयड हार्मोन है, जो पैराथायरॉयड ग्लैंड सिक्रीट करता है, वो ब्लड कैल्शियम लेवल को इंक्रीज करता है. सो दिस थायरोकैल्सिटोनिन एंड पैराथ हार्मोन टुगेदर वर्क एंड मेंटेन्स द ब्लड कैल्शियम लेवल. जब ब्लड कैल्शियम लेवल इंक्रीज होगा तो थायरोकैल्सिटोनिन का सिक्रीशन होगा, एंड दिस थायरोकैल्सिटोनिन decreases the blood calcium level. Whereas when the blood calcium level decreases below the normal value, at that time parathyroid gland will secrete its hormone and increase the blood calcium level. So it reduces the blood calcium level and opposes the effects of the parathyroid hormone. So that is regarding the thyroid gland of our body. Now the next is parathyroid gland. So its location. In humans, 4 parathyroid glands are present on the back side of the thyroid gland, 1 pair each in 2 lobes of the thyroid gland. So total 2 pairs are there. So 4 parathyroid gland. Where are they located? They are located on the thyroid lobes at their back side. Back side yani dorsal side. So on the dorsal side of the thyroid gland, each lobe consists of the 2 parathyroid glands. So total 4 parathyroid glands are present in our body. The parathyroid gland secretes the hormone called as parathyroid hormone, or also called as parath hormone. The secretion of PTH is regulated by circulating calcium levels. So कब parathyroid gland का secretion किसके ऊपर dependent है? कैल्शियम, ब्लड कैल्शियम लेवल पे. एंड सिक्रीशन कब होगा? जब ब्लड कैल्शियम लेवल डिक्रीज होता है. सो नॉर्मल वैल्यू से जब ब्लड कैल्शियम लेवल डिक्रीज होता है तो पैराथायरॉयड ग्लैंड अपने पैराथायरॉयड हार्मोन का सिक्रीशन करता है. सो द फंक्शंस ऑफ द पैराथ हार्मोन. द पैराथायरॉयड हार्मोन इंक्रीजेज द कैल्शियम लेवल्स इन द ब्लड. सो इट इंक्रीजेज द Ca2+ आयंस इन द ब्लड. कैसे? So it acts on the bones and stimulates the process of bone resorption, that is dissolution or demineralization. ये bones पे work करता है and bone में से calcium के release को होने देता है. We know that the bones are the storage, or you can say they are the reservoirs of calcium and phosphorus. So जब calcium का level decrease होता है तो blood में से कैल्शियम का रिलीज होता, बोन में से कैल्शियम का रिलीज होता है. इट ऑल्सो स्टिम्युलेट्स द रीएब्सॉर्प्शन ऑफ कैल्शियम बाय द रीनल ट्यूब्यूल्स एंड इंक्रीजेस द कैल्शियम एब्सॉर्प्शन फ्रॉम द डाइजेस्टेड फूड. दूसरा क्या करता है? फिल्ट्रेट में से जो किडनीज में फिल्ट्रेट होता है, वो फिल्ट्रेट में से कैल्शियम के रीएब्सॉर्प्शन को इंक्रीज करेगा, जिसकी वजह से कैल्शियम का लेवल इंक्रीज होगा. एंड अनदर थिंग इट डज इज फूड में से कैल्शियम का रीएब्सॉर्प्शन या कैल्शियम का एब्सॉर्प्शन इंक्रीज करेगा. सो ऑल दिस कंडीशन, दैट इज रिसॉर्प्शन और बोन रिसॉर्प्शन, then another one is reabsorption of calcium by renal tubules, absorption of the calcium from the digested food. ये सब condition से blood calcium level क्या होता है? increase होता है. And as this hormone increases the blood calcium level, this hormone is also called as hyperglycemic hormone. Hyper, increase, calcemic, that is calcium. It increases the blood calcium level. It is thus clear that PTH is a hyperglycemic hormone, that is, it increases the blood calcium levels. Along with TCT, that is thyrocalcitonin, it plays a significant role in calcium balance in body. जब कैल्शियम का लेवल डिक्रीज होगा तो पैराथॉर्मोन का सिक्रेशन होगा, जब कैल्शियम का लेवल इंक्रीज होगा तो थायरोकैल्सिटोनिन का सिक्रेशन होगा. Now the next gland is the thymus gland. So its location. The thymus gland is a lobular structure located between the lungs, behind the sternum, on the ventral side of the aorta. Now it secretes the hormone called as thymosin. So what are the functions of thymosin? The thymus plays a major role in development of the immune system. Thymus gland का main function है to develop the immune system of the organism. This gland secretes a peptide hormone called thymosin. We will study in the next video regarding the chemical nature of the hormone. So most of the main chemical nature is peptide. That is, they are protein in nature. So जो thymosin है उसका chemical nature क्या है? Peptide hormone है. What is the function of thymosins? They play the major role in differentiation of T lymphocytes which provide the cell mediated immunity. अपनी बॉडी में इम्यूनिटी एक्टिव इम्यूनिटी होती है. ये एक्टिव इम्यूनिटी दो वेज से आती है. वन इज सेल मीडिएटेड इम्यूनिटी एंड अनदर वन इज एंटीबॉडी मीडिएटेड इम्यूनिटी. So what is cell mediated immunity? Cell mediated immunity यानी when cells of the immune system provides the immune response to the body, it is called as the cell mediated immunity. Directly अपनी बॉडी के जो टी लिम्फोसाइट्स है वो एंटीजेंस को डिस्ट्रॉय कर देते हैं. दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द सेल मीडिएटेड इम्यूनिटी. एंड व्हेन antibodies are produced against the antigen, then such type of the immunity is called as the antibody mediated immunity, or also it is called as humoral immunity. Humors are the fluid. Antibody का secretion कहाँ पे होता है? Blood में. So blood is a fluid of our body and that immunity is hence called as humoral immunity. So thymosins also promote production of antibodies to provide the humoral immunity. Thymus is degenerated in old individuals in a decreased production of thymosin. So basically जो thymus gland की एक property है कि it atrophies with age. Atrophy यानी degeneration of the tissue. So जैसे जैसे age increase होती जाएगी thymus gland atrophy होने लगेगा. उसका जो टिश्यू है वो डीजनरेट होने लगेगा. नाउ थाइमस ग्लैंड डीजनरेट होने लगती है तो ऑफकोर्स लिम्फोसाइट्स का प्रोडक्शन कम हो जाएगा. लिम्फोसाइट्स का कम प्रोडक्शन होगा तो इम्यून सिस्टम विल बी लेस. सो बेसिकली वो पर्सन की इम्यून सिस्टम कैसी हो जाती है? वीक. सो एज अ रिजल्ट द इम्यून रेस्पॉन्स ऑफ द ओल्ड पर्सन्स बिकम्स वीक. सो दैट इज रिगार्डिंग द थाइमस ग्लैंड. नाउ नेक्स्ट important gland is the adrenal gland. So adrenal gland is also called as suprarenal gland. Supra, above, renal, kidneys. So these are the glands which are located above the kidney. See students, this is a kidney and ये kidney के ऊपर adrenal gland है. So these adrenal glands are also called as the suprarenal glands. So location and structure. Our body has one pair of adrenal glands, one at the anterior part of each kidney. The gland is composed of two types of tissue. The centrally located tissue is called adrenal medulla and the outside this lies the adrenal cortex. So adrenal gland is located at the anterior part of each kidney. So there are pair of adrenal glands. Now each adrenal gland is composed of two types of tissue. The tissue which lies towards the exterior side is called adrenal cortex and centrally located part is called as the adrenal medulla, and both this part will secrete their own types of the hormones. So first of all, adrenal medulla. The adrenal medulla secretes two hormones called adrenaline or epinephrine and noradrenaline or norepinephrine. So two hormones are secreted by adrenal medulla. One is adrenaline and another one is noradrenaline. Adrenaline is also called epinephrine, noradrenaline is also called as norepinephrine. Though these are the two hormones, but the effect produced by both these hormones are similar. and together they are commonly called as catecholamines. अभी ये जो एड्रिनल मेड्यूला है वो जो हार्मोन सिक्रेट करती है, ये हार्मोन अपने को इमरजेंसी सिचुएशन के टाइम पे हेल्पफुल होती है. दे आर हेल्पफुल टू फाइट द स्ट्रेसफुल सिचुएशन. स्ट्रेसफुल सिचुएशन को कैसे फेस करना है, वेदर इट इज़ अ फिजिकल स्ट्रेस, इमोशनल स्ट्रेस, कुछ भी हो, इमरजेंसी में हम कैसे वर्क करते हैं, ये सब कौन करता है, एड्रिनल मेड्यूला. And hence they are also called as the glands of emergency, as they help in the emergency situation or they help in the stressful condition. They are called as the emergency gland. And ये hormones को emergency hormones ये भी बोलते हैं, या hormones of flight and flight situation. It is also called as the hormones of the fight or flight situation. Adrenaline and noradrenaline are rapidly secreted in response to the stress of any kind and during the emergency situations, and hence are called emergency hormones or the hormones or fight or flight. Now जब भी कोई स्ट्रेसफुल कंडीशन होती है तो अपनी बॉडी में एनर्जी का प्रोडक्ट ज़्यादा रिक्वायरमेंट होता है. सो ये ऐसी एक्टिविटीज़ करेगा जिसकी वजह से एनर्जी का प्रोडक्शन इंक्रीज होगा. This hormone increases alertness, pupillary dilation, piloerection. Piloerection is raising of the hairs, goosebumps. Okay, अपनी muscles skin में erector pili muscles होते हैं, ये contract होते हैं तो hairs they raise up and causes goosebump. So and sweating. These are some of the symptoms caused due to the release of this hormone. आप लोग ने ये सब सिचुएशन फेस की होगी. से फॉर एग्जांपल अपने सामने स्नेक आ जाए, अपने सामने लायन आ जाए, और इफ़ वी आर सिटिंग इन अ रोलर कोस्टर, ये सब ऐसी सिचुएशंस है जहाँ पे हमें स्ट्रेसफुल कंडीशन होता है, डर लगता है. सो ये टाइम पे ये सब चेंजेस अपनी बॉडी में आते हैं. बोथ द हार्मोन्स इंक्रीज द हार्ट बीट, स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ द हार्ट कॉन्ट्रैक्शन एंड रेट ऑफ द रेस्पिरेशन. ये सब ब्लड फ्लो को इंक्रीज करेगा. ब्लड फ्लो इंक्रीज होगा तो ग्लूकोज का ट्रांसपोर्टेशन प्रॉपर होगा एंड मोर एनर्जी विल बी प्रोवाइडेड. Catecholamines also stimulates the breakdown of glycogen resulting in an increased concentration of glucose in blood. ये glycogen का breakdown भी करते हैं, that is glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis, glycogeno, that is glycogen, lysis, breakdown. Breakdown of the glycogen into glucose is called glycogenolysis. So of course glucose का amount increase होगा, glucose increase होगा तो energy का production होगा. They also stimulate the breakdown of lipids and proteins because these are also the energy rich component of our body. कोई भी स्ट्रेस को फेस करने के लिए भी रिक्वायर एनर्जी. सो ये ऐसे चेंजेस लाएगा बॉडी में जिसकी वजह से एनर्जी प्रोडक्शन इंक्रीज होगा. नाउ एड्रिनल कॉर्टेक्स. द एड्रिनल कॉर्टेक्स कैन बी डिवाइडेड इनटू 3 layers. Zona reticularis, that is inner layer, zona fasciculata, that is middle layer, and zona glomerulosa, that is called as the outer layer. So there are 3 layers in adrenal cortex. The outer layer is zona glomerulosa, zona is layer, then middle is zona fasciculata and inner is zona reticularis. And each of these layers secretes the hormone which are commonly called as the corticoids. And the 2 important corticoids are glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. Sex corticoids are also secreted by this gland, जिसमें टेस्टोस्टेरोन एंड प्रोजेस्टेरोन एंड एस्ट्रोजन की बात आती है. टेस्टोस्टेरोन एंड एस्ट्रोजन की बात आती है, बट माइन्यूट क्वांटिटीज ऑफ सेक्स कॉर्टिकोइड्स आर रिलीज्ड बाय एड्रिनल कॉर्टेक्स. यानी यहाँ पे सिर्फ ग्लूकोकॉर्टिकोइड्स एंड मिनरलोकॉर्टिकोइड्स का हम डिस्कशन करेंगे. Sex corticoids are mainly secreted by the reproductive organs or gonads of our body. The adrenal cortex secretes many hormones commonly called as corticoids. The corticoids which are involved in carbohydrate metabolism are glucocorticoids. In our body, cortisol is the main glucocorticoid. So those corticoids which are responsible for glucose metabolism are called glucocorticoid. One of the important glucocorticoid is the cortisol. Same way, the corticoids which regulate the balance of water and electrolytes in our body are called mineralocorticoids. So जो water and electrolyte के balance को maintain करते हैं, that is those corticoids which maintain the osmoregulations, they are called as the mineralocorticoid. And one of the important mineralocorticoid is aldosterone. So aldosterone is the main mineralocorticoid in our body. The glucocorticoid stimulates gluconeogenesis. Genesis is formation. Neo is new. Gluco is glucose. Formation of the glucose from the non-carbohydrate sources. That is called as gluconeogenesis. Glucose, neo, new. Genesis, formation. Formation of the glucose from new sources. That is like proteins and fats, then it is called as the gluconeogenesis. Lipolysis, breakdown of lipids. Proteolysis, breakdown of proteins. And it also inhibits the cellular uptake and utilization of amino acids. क्योंकि ये amino acids को किस में convert कर देगा? Glucose में convert कर देगा. The cortisol is involved in maintaining the cardiovascular system as well as the kidney functions. सो कॉर्टिसोल मेन कौन सा है? एल्डोस्टेरोन. सो वो क्या मेंटेन करता है? कार्डियोवास्कुलर सिस्टम, दैट इज द circulatory system as well as the functioning of the kidney. Glucocorticoids, particularly cortisol, produces the anti-inflammatory reactions and suppresses the immune response. It also stimulates the RBC production. Aldosterone acts mainly at the renal tubules and stimulates the reabsorption of sodium and water and excretion of K plus and phosphate ions. Thus, aldosterone helps in maintenance of electrolytes, body fluid volume, osmotic pressure and blood pressure. Small amounts of androgenic steroids. I also told you sex corticoids. So, small amount of sex corticoids, androgens. Androgens are the reproductive hormones, right? So, androgenic steroids in small amount is also secreted by the adrenal cortex. So, also secreted by adrenal cortex, which play the role in the growth of axial hair. Axial hair are the hairs in the armpits, pubic hair and facial hair during the puberty. So, these are some of the functions of glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. Now students, one thing here I need to mention is the disorder related to the aldosterone metabolism, or you can say adrenal gland, and that disorder is called as the Addison's disease. Addison's disease is mainly caused due to the deficiency of the cortical hormones. Now pancreas. The next endocrine gland is we will study the next endocrine gland, and that is the pancreas. So location and structure of pancreas. It is located just below the stomach and has the leaf-like structure. At the junction of the stomach with the duodenum, ये location पे pancreas is located. Now ये pancreas कैसी gland है? The composite gland है. Composite gland यानी it is a mixed gland. Some part of the pancreas is the endocrine part and some part is called as the exocrine part. So the pancreas is a composite gland which act as both exocrine and endocrine gland. The exocrine part is called acini. Exocrine part यानी duct होगा. So pancreas के gland का जो duct है वो वाले part को बोलते हैं acini. And what is the function of acini? It secretes the pancreatic juice which is rich in various digestive enzymes. Whereas the endocrine part consists of the islets of Langerhans. So the endocrine part of the pancreas is called islets of Langerhans. There are about 1 to 2 million islets of Langerhans in normal human pancreas, representing only 1 to 2% of the total pancreatic tissue. So, of the total pancreas, only 1 to 2% of the pancreas is the endocrine part, that is islets of Langerhans. Else, the complete pancreas, most of the pancreas is the acini part. The two main types of the cells in islets of Langerhans are alpha cell and beta cell. See, basically there are four types of cell: alpha, beta, delta and C cells. But ये सब cells different hormone का secretion करते हैं. But here we are considered or we are mainly concerned with the two cells. One is alpha cells and beta cells. So alpha cell secretes a hormone called glucagon, while beta cell secretes the insulin. अल्फा सेल ग्लूकागॉन का सिक्रेशन करता है, बीटा सेल इंसुलिन का सिक्रेशन करता है, एंड ये दोनों हार्मोन साथ में काम करके ग्लूकोज के लेवल को मेंटेन करते हैं. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल द फंक्शंस ऑफ ग्लूकागॉन. Glucagon is a peptide hormone and plays the important role in maintaining the normal blood glucose level. It mainly acts on the liver cell, that are hepatocytes, and stimulates glycogenolysis. Glycogen, that is glycogen, and lysis is breakdown, that is breakdown of glycogen into glucose. Glycogenolysis, lysis is breakdown of what? Glycogen. किस में? Glucose में. Resulting in an increased blood glucose level. ऑफ कोर्स ब्लड शुगर का लेवल क्या होगा? इंक्रीज होगा. ग्लाइकोजन ब्रेक होगा किस में? ग्लूकोज में. सो ग्लूकोज का लेवल क्या होगा? इंक्रीज होता है. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज हाइपरग्लाइसेमिया. हाइपर इंक्रीज ग्लाइसेमिया, दैट इज ग्लूकोज. In addition, this hormone stimulates the process of gluconeogenesis. I told you, that is formation of the glucose from non-carbohydrate sources like fats and proteins. So formation of the glucose from fat and proteins, that is from non-carbohydrate molecules, which also contribute to the hyperglycemia. It also reduces the cellular uptake and utilization. सेल को ग्लूकोज को यूटिलाइज करने से वो स्टॉप करता है. इट डज नॉट अलाउ द सेल्स टू टेक इन द ग्लूकोज. अगर सेल्स ने ग्लूकोज ले लिया तो वो ग्लूकोज आइदर एनर्जी में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा या उसका स्टोरेज होगा. सो ये प्रोसेस को वो अटकाएगा. इट रिड्यूसेस द सेल्यूलर ग्लूकोज अपटेक एंड यूटिलाइजेशन. इट डजंट अलाउ द ग्लूकोज टू बी स्टोर्ड और कंज्यूम. Hence the glucagon is the hyperglycemic hormone. ये सब कंडीशन से ग्लूकोज का लेवल क्या हो रहा है? इंक्रीज हो रहा है. एंड हेंस द ग्लूकागॉन इज कॉल्ड एज द हाइपरग्लाइसेमिक हार्मोन. So very important, it may be asked, glucagon is a hyperglycemic hormone. So you have to write all this process कि वो ग्लाइकोजिनोलाइसिस करता है जिसकी वजह से ब्लड शुगर इंक्रीज होता है. इट also is responsible for gluconeogenesis, which also contributes the increase in blood glucose level. It also reduces the cellular uptake of glucose and its utilization. And all this situation increases the blood glucose level, and hence glucagon is a hyperglycemic hormone. Now next is the function of insulin. Insulin is a peptide hormone which plays the major role in regulation of glucose homeostasis. Insulin acts mainly on hepatocytes and adipocytes, that is cells of the adipose tissue, and enhances the cellular glucose uptake and utilization. ये इफेक्ट अपोजिट होगी इंसुलिन और ग्लूकागॉन की. ग्लूकागॉन ग्लूकोज के लेवल को इंक्रीज करता है, इंसुलिन ग्लूकोज के लेवल को डिक्रीज करता है. सो वहाँ पे ग्लूकोनियोजेनेसिस होता था, यहाँ पे ग्लूकोजियोनेसिस नहीं होगा. एंड बल्कि क्या होगा? सेल्स विल यूटिलाइज द ग्लूकोज एज अ सोर्स ऑफ एनर्जी एंड इट विल बी ऑल्सो स्टोर्ड. As a result, there is a rapid movement of glucose from blood into hepatocytes and adipocytes, resulting in the decreased blood glucose level, that is hypoglycemia. It also stimulates the conversion of glucose to glycogen. ग्लूकागॉन क्या करता था? ग्लाइकोजिनोलाइसिस करता था. ग्लाइकोजन का ब्रेकडाउन ग्लूकोज में करता था. वेरेज इंसुलिन क्या करेगा? ग्लूकोज को कन्वर्ट करेगा ग्लाइकोजन में. सो वो ग्लाइकोजिनोलाइसिस करता था, इंसुलिन ग्लाइकोजिनेसिस करता है, दैट इज फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द ग्लाइकोजन फ्रॉम ग्लूकोज इनटू द टारगेट सेल. The glucose homeostasis in blood is thus maintained jointly by two hormones, insulin and glucagon. Now some of the disorders related to the insulin. Prolonged hyperglycemia leads to a complex disorder called diabetes mellitus, which is associated with the loss of glucose through urine and formation of the harmful compounds known as ketone bodies. अगर hyperglycemia continue होता है तो it causes a disease called as the diabetes mellitus. जिसकी वजह से द यूरिन विल कंटेन द ग्लूकोज और ग्लूकोज विल बी लॉस्ट इन द यूरिन एंड इसके अलावा सम हार्मफुल कंपोनेंट्स आर फॉर्म लाइक कीटोन बॉडीज. Diabetic patients are successfully treated with insulin therapy. Diabetes caused by insufficient insulin production is called insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So diabetes mellitus जब इंसुलिन की डेफिशिएंसी की वजह से होता है, that diabetes mellitus is called as the insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. Now diabetes mellitus may also be caused due to the failure of the insulin to move the glucose from blood into the cell for storage or consumption. Now diabetes mellitus का another reason is insulin का secretion proper amount में हो रहा है. So there is no deficiency of insulin, it is synthesized in proper amount. But this insulin is unable to move the glucose inside the cell. ग्लूकोज सेल के अंदर नहीं जा सकता है. इंसुलिन क्या काम करता है? सो इट अलाउज द सेल्स टू टेक इन द ग्लूकोज, बट इंसुलिन का सिक्रीशन हो रहा है, बट ये जो प्रोसेस होना है कि सेल्स को ग्लूकोज को यूटिलाइज करना है वो नहीं हो रहा है. दिस मे बी ड्यू टू द डिफेक्टिव इंसुलिन रिसेप्टर्स इन सेल सरफेस. नाउ जैसे एंजाइम सबस्ट्रेट के साथ बाइंड करता है, सेम वे ईच एंड एवरी हार्मोन हैव टू बाइंड टू देयर रिसेप्टर्स. सो जो इंसुलिन से जो बाइंड होने वाले रिसेप्टर्स होते हैं, ये रिसेप्टर्स डिफेक्टिव है. रिसेप्टर्स डिफेक्टिव है यानी इंसुलिन इज अनेबल टू बाइंड टू द रिसेप्टर एंड हेंस दैट पर्टिकुलर सेल्स आर अनेबल टू टेक इन द ग्लूकोज. डायबिटीज ड्यू टू द पर्सन्स इनएबिलिटी टू यूज the insulin is termed as the diabetes independent diabetes mellitus. So जो diabetes में इंसुलिन का प्रोडक्शन नॉर्मल है, but that person is unable to use the insulin, that is called as the insulin independent diabetes mellitus. It is more common than insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So that is regarding the pancreas. Now I end the chapter. In the next video we will be studying the remaining endocrine glands and how the hormones function, how the hormones work, that is mechanism of hormone action. I end my lecture here. Thank you students.